Hi, it's Splinterverse. Welcome to another episode of D&D New Releases, where we offer first impressions of new third-party products for Dungeons & Dragons. We cover up to 20 titles from Dungeon Masters Guild and up to 20 more from DriveThruRPG each week. The titles are presented in alphabetical order by site, and all of them are linked in the video description. Purchasing the books using those links helps the channel, but you can also support us by purchasing one of our best-selling books. We've got lineages suitable for any setting, as well as optional lineage rules in our Van Richten's Librum of Lineages. With our Potions Unlocked book, we have over 100 pages of material to take your potions to the next level in your game. Our Feywild Companion offers 150 pages of Feywild fun for players and DMs. Also, our book Fizban's Vault of Draconic Secrets contains over 50 pages of dragon-themed player options, including a subclass for each class, and much more. Please support the channel by purchasing our books using the links in the video description. Before we talk about this week's titles, let's talk about the exclusive Splinterverse Media discount this week. That's right, on all of our socials, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, we are sharing an exclusive discount every Monday with you. This week, it's Infernal Tranquility, a fun 5th edition adventure from Earl of Fife Games, and it is 50% off. So you can see here, it's $4.99 normally. You're going to get 50% off of that. It's already got 3 5-star ratings. It's by George Shoemaker and Jason Duff. It says a dangerous cult begins to transform a peaceful town into a chaotic haven for madness. Will you stop their machinations, or will infernal spirits destroy everything you hold dear? In this adventure, players will guide their PCs in the defense of Tradesman's Root, a small settlement wedged in between a large plateau and a dark forest. Nature, dark forces, and political intrigue all conspire against the PCs to bring the downfall of the once proud townsfolk. And it's designed for 4 to 6 third-level characters, or alternatively, first-level characters that will get to third level quickly via milestone achievements. And it can be used in any setting. You'll get 4 to 10 hours of play, depending on your playstyle, new adversaries, and choices that matter, which I always like to see with adventures, as choices that actually change things. So that's exciting. So you can see some of the pages here with some fun artwork in here. And let's look inside. So there's 8 pages here in the preview. And you've got the introduction giving you some background on Tradesman's Root, the relationship, geography, all of that good stuff. And then you've got Glirish High Moon, Derek Sternheimer, call to action, which is like your GM overview. And then it starts getting into some of the parts of the adventure. And then eventually you get to the aftermath. But then you've got an encounter table, a chart, adversaries and allies, all kinds of good stuff. And here you've got introduction on the setting that you can read and the GM overview. So we'll read a little bit of the call to action down here. It says the party is advised to either be residents of the Merchant's Tooth area themselves, or hearing of locals having wildlife trouble and seeking the area in hopes of reward for clearing the problem. If the party is in need of some more persuasive reasons, consider the following: a posting in a tavern or a local inn that a farmer is desperately seeking to save his crop from the ravenous beasts that have begun plaguing the land. Tales of issues arising near the isolated settlement in Merchant's Tooth have reached locals in the towns near the mountain settlements, and they've requested the party to investigate on their behalf to ensure the issue doesn't spread toward their settlements. So, just a few cool ones already off the bat. There's even one on a druidic circle down here, a local brewery, thieves guild. I mean, quite a few options to get the party drawn into the action. And what I love about sections like this in books is that, let's say you pick the first one, so it's a posting in a tavern. Now, all these other ones, if you play with the same group over and over, all these other ones can be used to trigger other adventures, whether they're ones that you created, or maybe another module from another third party, or even wizards. And you just have this nice list of that you can reuse, or that can inspire you to create your own. You know, sometimes I read a list like this and I come up with my own ideas of plot hooks and ways to draw the characters in. So I always love when authors give you such a long list of options to get you started. And then of course you also have the setting that's going to be left over, and some of these characters like Glarish High Moon and Derek Stenheimer, and then all this geography, so you can make this a home base. I think these third-party modules are really good too for people that that want to have like a homebrew setting, basically, because you can decide to do that and just use a little bit of this third-party module to build your homebrew setting around, and then you don't have all the complications of, you know, the wizard settings. Those are great too, but sometimes your players know about those settings, right? And so they might want to say, well, can we go to Cormier or whatever, you know, or the Savage Coast? And it's just like, with this, it gives you a little bit to start you off, but then you can kind of fill in the rest, which I really like. So look for it in the links below under Infernal Tranquility and get that discount before it's gone. It's limited time on all of these, so make sure you check that out, and be sure to follow us on all those platforms so that you can get that discount every Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. Our first new release this week is Beowulf, the Triple Serpent. It's a new module for use with Beowulf, which is a 5th edition content, but it's focused on duet play, where you have a dungeon master and a player. So it's really fun. We've done special videos on just the Beowulf system that you can check out if you go to the Splinterverse channel here on YouTube. But this one looks really cool. It's from Handiwork Games, $4.99, 39 pages. Author Gareth Writer Hanrahan, who wrote the One Ring RPG and Dracula dossiers. So let's read a little bit about it here. It says, of old in Ireland there was the Fianna. A full accounting of the deeds of this band of heroes is too long to write here. Be assured they were many and glorious. Every man and woman of the Fianna was supremely skilled in one fashion or another, and all were peerless warriors. They traveled the length and breadth of the island of Ireland, fighting monsters and performing marvelous feats that are still retold in poetry and prose to this day. All that, though, was long ago. The time of the Fianna has passed. All but 2 were slain in the bloody slaughter of the Battle of Gabra, and that was 500 years ago. Ireland is a holy country now, an island of saints and scholars converted to the church by St. Patrick and his followers. On this isle, the age of heroes is passing, and soon all that remains will be the stories recorded by the monks in their great books. But while heroes may be fading from Ireland, there are still monsters. So it's cool. It gives you like this background of this, you know, older thing called the Fianna, and it's basically saying, you know, now there's not as many heroes, but we really need them because there's still monsters roaming. And if you know anything about Beowulf, the monster is really a key part of it, because it's trying to replicate the feeling of that the original Beowulf poetry or poem, where, you know, it's this hero going out and dealing with this monster. And so it's got this really cool kind of setup, and the way the mechanics are is, although it's 5th edition, there's sort of a structure to the adventures where you have to go out and deal with the monsters and stuff. So it's pretty cool, and I love the artwork. They always do really good artwork. So you get to see 6 of the interior pages. You've got the credits, the contents. Again, it's 39 pages, so quite a bit of material. Here's some information, kind of setting things up here, talking about the structure, the beginning of the story, etc. And then you get into some rumors and some adjective and noun tables. We're going to look at those in a minute, but you get the beautiful map here, which I love. They always do gorgeous maps. So something called 𝙬and the lands of the Uinels, so Ireland, and looks really nice. I like all the numbered locations being there as well. So coming up here, it says gathering rumors. You can roll and get one of these rumors, and then let's see if I can see what it says about the adjectives. It doesn't say, but they're cool, because it goes drowning, uncharitable, baleful, sorrowful, feckless, swift. It's the first row, and then nouns. It's got warm, hunger, tomb, tooth, hostage, judgment. So I'm sure these will be good to use for something in this book, and other things if you need like a little prompt. So you've got the rumors here. First one is 𝘽𝙤𝙤𝙧𝙬𝙧 best warrior, a man named Conall One-Eye, already tried to slay 𝘏𝙬𝙗, and it gobbled him up with one bite. So that's a rumor. And then the second one is obviously the 𝘏𝙬𝙗 is a judgment from God. Everyone knows that unlike the rest of his pious family, 𝘏𝙤𝙤𝙧𝙬𝙧 tries to play both sides. He may take confession and communion with the monks, but he also prays to the old gods. It's his sins that have brought this evil out of the lake. So I'm not very good at pronouncing these names in here, but it sounds pretty cool. I like these little rumors. They're pretty detailed and sound like they would be rumors related to this monster hunt. And then you've got 6 of those. So we only read 2, but you can come read the rest of them if you want. Because they are showing those in the preview. But yeah, it seems really fun. It's for, if you're playing Beowulf already, it's for those that are level 5 or 6. And what I really appreciate about what Handiwork Games is doing is they are making consistent content for this system. You know, some companies, they put out a system and then they just don't release any supplemental material. And so then the game master, dungeon master, whatever you want to call it, has to come up with everything, which can be fun, but it's nice to have inspiration. It's nice to have adventures that you can run if you're tired, you didn't get time to prep or whatever, right? And so Handiwork is releasing pretty regularly. So if you're somebody who's looking for a duet opportunity, maybe you have somebody in your life that you want to play the game with that isn't interested in playing with a full table, you know, there's people out there that they have personalities where it's a struggle for them to be in a bigger group. And maybe you know somebody like that wants to play, but they just have anxiety about being with a bigger group. And so this is a way you could play one-on-one with that person. Or maybe there's somebody who just doesn't have time for a table. So with one-on-one, it's much easier to schedule. Or you could play this as a side game to your regular table. But there's a lot of cool ways to fit duet play into your life if you've already got some games going on as well. So definitely recommend checking out the Beowulf system and the new release, the Triple Serpent. It's in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we have Delver Magazine issue number 4, which is an OSR resource from the tabletop engineer and James Floyd Kelly. It is 52 pages, and it's a bi-monthly magazine that basically gives you resources for OSR, old school essentials, basic, anything related to OSR. And it's got ready-to-play adventures, printable props, random charts and tables, articles and maps. So in this one, you can see some of the creative titles of some things, and then you've got a referee roundtable, which is terrain versus theater of the mind, and then an adventure called The Silent Stalker, which is 18 pages. So I like that you're getting a lot of different pieces of content in here, so you can mix and match and use the pieces that you need. So again, you're seeing the list here of all the different contents and the 8 pages they preview, and a lot of them are fun. Like, so this is I curse thee with is like a series of tables to come up with a curse. So it can say, let's just do number 1 on all these. So I curse thee with the spiteful keening words of 𝘎𝙤𝙗 the incurable. And then the effect would be it lasts 1 hour, nonstop hiccups, -1 to hit. So you see how you can make just a quick curse from these 4 tables to get the effect, but 3 to get the sort of the name that the characters would read out. But I like that. It's handy, it's quick, it's all on 1 page, large font, so it's easy to just read that even at a distance, or, you know, if you're in a hurry. Then you've got one called Lone Explorer here. So we'll just read the ones on this. So the name is 𝘎𝙤𝙗 New Hammer. The class is fighter, will be spotted in combat with an orc, looking for a hiding wizard, and aware of a band of brigands in a nearby forest. But the secret is 𝘎𝙤𝙗 is an assassin in disguise. So, you know, you go through all these 6 tables here and you come up with this lone person that the party has encountered in their travels. Very helpful. You can and you can use this in 5th edition, and this, really. I mean, at least the upper part. You might have to mess around with some of the effects down here, but you could use certainly this upper part, the naming of the curses. And then you've got the dwarf in the corner, an eldritch tome, all kinds of good stuff. And then this table, I will tease and say, is going to be helpful for anybody who gets my next book that's coming out very soon. In a couple months, you'll see a new book from Splinterverse Media, and this table will help those who buy that book as well. So just a little hint. I'm going to keep dropping some hints until we get closer, then you'll get some full teasers. But I am loving this. I love tables. I love rolling on stuff like this. Even just, you know, if I'm bored, just rolling something and seeing what I get, getting inspired to create my own stuff as well. So, yeah, I like this a lot. I think every issue that I've seen of this has been well worth considering a purchase, especially at the prices. So look for it in the links below under Delver 4 and give it a click. Next, we have the Demon Queen Awakens, a 5th edition adventure built specifically for the Foundry Virtual Tabletop, or Foundry VTT as it's also known. It's $20, and it's literally you know, going to be a module that you download, and if you have Foundry, you can load that up and run the adventure. I happen to own Foundry, and the campaign I play every other Saturday is in Foundry, and I really enjoy it. I think it's a really powerful VTT, has so much available to program and do with it. I'm always amazed every week. My DM is introducing new modules and say, look, I just added this, and you know, it's just really cool, the capabilities of this system, and I just particularly really enjoy using it. So I was excited to see that they've released a title, official title from Foundry on DriveThru this week, and it says, over 1,000 years ago, the Demon Queen 𝘏𝙗𝙗 ruled an empire that spanned a continent and subjugated nations. At her side were her I guess they may have been foul. At her side were her 4 dreadful generals, each of whom led her vast armies of corrupted mortals marching toward their bloody cause of domination. Desperate for a solution that would return the lands to the control of the mortals and break the empire of blood stranglehold, the eyes of Aten imprisoned 𝘏𝙗𝙗 and her generals. Using powerful magic, they shackled them deep within a sacred vault built in an uncharted desert from which no escape would be possible for 1,000 years. And now those 1,000 years have come to an end. So this is presumably the vault. And what I'll say is really cool is, like, you would think sometimes with like a virtual module that you wouldn't get some beautiful art because you don't have the book, but I'm here to say that's not true, because look, you're getting this really cool artwork, and it's designed exclusively for Foundry. So my guess is it's going to lean into all of the cool things that make Foundry special as well. And it's the first adventure officially written and created by the Foundry Virtual Tabletop team, and it leverages all the advanced features, like I said. It's designed a 4 to 6 player party of 9th level adventurers. The story will require between 2 and 4 game sessions to complete. The player characters represent the only heroes willing to assist the last member of a holy order in his quest to stop the Demon Queen from being released. Upon entering the ancient vault, they will quickly realize it'll be no easy task. The Demon Queen's prison is not as secure as it once was, and dark forces work to ensure that when the clock runs out, nothing will stop their demonic mistress from escaping. The players and their characters will need to defeat 4 dread generals, unlock the Demon Queen's arena, and defeat her before she has the chance to fully escape. It includes the story, of course, nearly 50 comprehensive journal entries with dynamic links to allow for easy reference, original artwork, 2 comprehensive maps, 19 original and compelling NPCs that are pre-configured again in Foundry for you, 5 deadly boss encounters, 25 items designed and created specifically for the adventure, and then an incredible soundscape of 36 audio tracks encompassing theme music, ambiance, and sound effects to immerse your players in the adventure. And then you've got macros, which, you know, if you program in Foundry, you know that those are helpful to automate things. And then you've got 2 rollable tables to surprise your players with the contents of jars and the tombs that they explore through the vault. So you're just getting a ton of stuff, and some of these things like the rollable tables and the music, I mean, this is reusable for other adventures, right? And it's already in Foundry, so you don't have to go load it in. You know, once you put it in for this adventure, you're good to go. You can see the beautiful maps they've got going on, how you get to see the artwork in the game. This looks really cool. There's like a sarcophagus there in the middle, and you can see how things pop up and are easy to read as you're playing. And then here's another map, etc., and a whole video on it down here as well. So definitely, you know, I encourage you to check this out if you have Foundry. I love Foundry. I think it's cool. If anybody's watching and does conversions for a fee to Foundry, let me know, because I may have some books of my own that I'd love to get converted to Foundry in the future. But I think this is a great way to get into Foundry, to check it out. If you've been thinking about purchasing Foundry, you want to have an adventure to have it loaded already in it, you can. Of course, there's other ones you can buy, but why not start with one created from Foundry itself, because they're going to leverage the best parts of it. You know, it's going to be working properly. So I think this is exciting, and I think you should, without delay, go down to the links below and click Demon Queen Awakens and grab this for yourself. All right, next we have Expanded Options 3 from Drop Dead Studios, $4.99 for 43 pages, and it's already a best copper seller in its first week, which is awesome. And it's really meant for Pathfinder First Edition and Spheres of Power Might systems. So the Spheres systems are quite popular for Pathfinder. So when I saw this, I thought, I got to tell my audience about this, because, you know, it seems like a lot of people are really into it, and, you know, more is better, right? So Brad Whittingham is the author. It's 43 pages, and it says it provides a menagerie of new options for the Sphere system. It sets out to explore and develop areas of the Sphere system that have not been delved into as much. Use the new Smash tag for the Baroom Sphere to really enhance your improvised fighting, or the plethora of advanced and legendary talents to further break the bonds of reality and your GM's sanity. New archetypes and class options give an interesting spin on pre-existing classes, such as the Chronomancer. He uses color to enhance their magic, or the new Conscript and Incanter subspecializations to flesh out the parts that the original specializations didn't cover. Even well-developed options within the Spheres have received some love in the form of working on the weird and wonderful side of such options. The Warden class has received 2 new vigils, adaptability for the Alteration Spear, etc. So quite a lot of stuff for those that are playing Pathfinder and using the Spheres. Let's look inside. So you get to see 6 of those 43 pages, and you can see it's covering quite a lot of stuff. Everything from class options, archetypes, player options, talents, you know, even changes in errata in here as well. So it goes right into the Oracle archetype Augur, and then you've got Chronomancy Prodigy archetype, different colors. So yeah, you get to see 2 of the archetypes. Let's read a little bit about the Augur. It says the Augur sees through and beyond the veil of the world around them, observing the great strands of fate that twist, bend, and break with every decision made. Augurs are blessed, although others may think otherwise, with the ability to manipulate the strings of fate in small ways, but usually with great effect. And it says this archetype requires Sphere Oracle. So with the first ability here, it says Seer of Fate, the Augur gains the Divination and Fate spheres as bonus spheres at first level, plus 1 additional talent from either spear at 6th level and every 6 levels thereafter. This replaces Oracle Strength. And then you've got Kismet, touched by fate, an Augur possesses an innate knack for sensing and manipulating fate in small ways, manifesting in a pool of Kismet. At the start of each day, she gains a number of Kismet points equal to her casting ability modifier minimum of 1. And then it shows you what you can do with all the different options with Kismet. It's got Gamble, Great Failure, Deeds. Deeds is another one, but it looks like Gamble and Great Failure. Says when the Augur spends at least 1 spell point on a Fate or Divination Sphere effect, she can choose to roll a d3. If the result is a 1, the cost of the effect is increased by 1 spell point. If the result is a 2, she spends the spell points normally. And if the result is a 3, the Augur still spends the spell points but regains a Kismet point. So some fun little options, and get some die rolls involved in that. So yeah, check it out if you're playing spheres or you're curious about spheres. It seems like it's a really cool enhancement to the sphere system in Pathfinder. It's in the links below under Expanded Options 3. Give it a click. Next, we've got Fantasy Token Set 49, Character Folio 5. And it's $5.99 for all of these tokens. There's 18 of them. And you can just see how gorgeous the artwork is. I mean, it's just fully painted overhead. You've got, wizards in the act of casting spells. You've got presumably, a barbarian, all kinds of different shapes and sizes. I mean, this looks like a dwarf here with a scythe, and you've got maybe a knight here, a paladin, with a hammer and a shield. I mean, lots and lots of options. These are very well painted, and they give you that overhead so you can look straight down and have the characters feel like they're actually standing on those overhead maps. We've talked about before how it can be a little jarring to have, a profile appearance on the token, but then the map is overhead. So having these, it's kind of easier to blend it in. And also I like, that it's like pretty much above their head. So if somebody's like, oh, I have a scar on my face, or I have this color eyes, you can kind of avoid all of that because you could say, oh, sure you do. I can't see your eyes anyway with this token. And so that means it works for more. When you buy those profile ones, which those are good too, but when you buy those, you're just not getting that much flexibility in terms of whether it looks like the character as described by the player or not. So check it out under Fantasy Tokens 49 in the links below and give it a click. Next, we've got The Flooded Tower from Dragon's Horn Tales, and it's a 4th level dungeon crawl. But what I always love about Dragon's Horn stuff is it's for 5th edition and 3.5. So you're getting double the content. It's $5.95. And it doesn't say how many pages, but it's Antoni Subkowitz as the author. It says, a prison deep in the wilderness, a mysterious flooded tower stands in the lake in the middle of the forest. Legends tell that ancient mages erected it to hide an unspeakable evil, and anyone who tries to find it will die a horrible death. Will you be brave enough to uncover its secrets? The Flooded Tower is a one-shot dungeon crawl for parties at level 4 or 8 for 5th and 3.5 edition. So presumably level 4 for 5th edition, level 8 for 3.5. Featuring new monsters and a multitude of obstacles for players to overcome, it can be easily dropped in to any wilderness adventure as a point of interest where adventurers can find treasure or knowledge that may aid them in their quest. Delve into the Flooded Tower, an ancient structure built hundreds of years ago that was said to be a prison for an evil that terrorized the lands around Blackwood Forest. Find a way in and fight through 3 levels of a place that as much as it wants to keep you out, wants to keep its prisoner in, and probably for good reason. So 5 new maps, 3 new monsters, etc. And what's cool is you can get this for Foundry as well. So we talked earlier in this episode about the Foundry adventure, which also deals with something being trapped. So you could play both of those together and have this theme of, we're dealing with all these places where evils have been trapped. Maybe the sort of reason that the party comes together, because that's one of the things, right, that DMs like to try to figure out with the party is what brought all of you together. Well, maybe this is a team that is focused on checking on these places that are supposed to be prisons, making sure they stay prisons and that the evils stay trapped there. So then you can have these 2 adventures, both in Foundry, and have them go from one to the other and then make up another one. Or maybe there's some other ones out there that you can find that tie in with that theme. Or maybe they change their goal after they check on these 2 things. They've had enough and they want to do something else. But you'll notice down here at the bottom, you can get the bundle that has the Foundry version and the PDF version too. So that's kind of cool. But again, with Dragon's Horn, I'm always excited because you're getting 5th edition and 3.5. So really, really super helpful to have both versions. Even just if you're a creator and you want to kind of see how things get converted, having one that's already been converted for you and showing you 5th edition and 3.5 that you can sit there and say, well, how did this go from 3.5 to 5th edition or vice versa? You can kind of see those working examples of conversion. So a lot of value in these Dragon's Horn Studios titles, especially at a price point of $5.95. I mean, that's a pretty good price, and the bundle is only $10, and you can get both it and the VTT. So looking inside, you get to see 5 of those pages, and yeah, quite a bit of nice layout here. It says using the dungeon crawl, exploration hooks. We'll read some of those in a minute. Here's the flooded tower. Got a zombie crocodile in here. Ground level, looking around the tower. Even a table on discoveries that are near the tower. So that could be used outside of this adventure as well. So again, reusability. Love that. So it says if you want to use the dungeon standalone, you can use these hooks to interest heroes in the tower. If needed, change the names and details to fit your world. First one, the missing explorer. One of the most prolific explorers of the Society of Explorers went missing when trying to discover the secret of the flooded tower, and his colleagues look for someone that will find him. If you use this hook, one of the lacedemons that adventurers find on the first floor has a symbol of Society of Explorers on its corpse. Then you have a dragon slayer. When looking for a weapon that can help adventurers defeat a dragon, they find stories about an ancient sphere, the dragon slayer, that was responsible for the deaths of thousands of dragons and was last used to fight an ancient green dragon, 𝙤𝙤𝙬𝙧𝙬𝙬, and that was imprisoned in the tower in Blackwood Forest. If you use this hook, the spear is still stuck in the head of the dragon. So some helpful options to get you integrated into the story. Very cool. And again, I just love that they use color coding to show the different versions of the game. You can see here it's a wisdom nature check DC 10 in 5th edition, and then in 3.5 it's a knowledge nature or survival DC 10 check, right? So either system right there in line, easy to pick it out. Just focus on the color. You know, if you're playing 5th edition, look for green. If you're playing 3.5, look for that red color. Super simple, super easy. Even in the tables, they're doing that. And I just think that's awesome. So I think you should look for it in the links under Dragon's Horn Tales, The Flooded Tower, and give it a click. Next we have In the Bluelight from Loot the Room. It's on sale right now for $7.50. It's normally $15. 48 pages by the talented Chris Bissett, and it says it's a frozen dungeon crawl. And you can, there's a plain text version that you can get for free by clicking here. But it takes the characters deep beneath the barren waste of Kyrgyz, where an ancient artifact that holds power to stop the miseries afflicting the world lies buried deep beneath the ice. There's a treasure frozen into icy walls as well, and if you were to extract it, you would return home rich. But the thaw that opened the ice vaults will not last forever, and if the characters tally too long, they'll find themselves trapped inside the glacier for the rest of their short, shivering lives. The adventure itself is a sprawling dungeon over 3 levels packed full of NPCs, weird encounters, and a subterranean maze haunted by the oozing remnants of a third prophetic basilisk. It comes complete with encounter tables for the long trek across the ice fields of Kyrgyz and new scriptures from the Archean theurgy that replace the calendar of Necrubal while inside the dungeon, making the ice shift and change as the players spend more time in the vaults. The dungeon portion of the book mimics the layout of Rot Block Sludge, the introductory adventure found in Mork Borg, so it's familiar and easy to use at the table. So very cool. Let's look inside. Of beautiful artwork and design on this, and it's for Mork Borg. And so you can see it's really pretty stained glass stuff here. Got all the information, rumors, tundra encounters, room descriptions, etc. And then some flavorful stuff. Let's look at that. We'll look at the priestess in a minute, but you get to see 36 pages. So I mean, I'm just going to quickly scroll through so you can see some of the fun maps that I'm passing by pretty quickly. But still, you can come here and look through this on your own. But I'm excited. I mean, it looks beautiful. I like how the map is repeated and colored in to show you what room you're looking at. Really easy to find where you are when that's happening. Very nice legend, and they've got all these numbers here for the full map. yeah, nice touches, just really going the extra mile with that, and I love it. So it says, approached by a veiled priestess of Ark who claims to have spoken to the elusive second head of She, you venture west as bidden. The basilisk has whispered word of an artifact buried beneath the ice. Wanderer who knows nothing of something that could roll back the clock on the miseries he spake into being. Return it to the priestess, and maybe the world need not die yet. But hurry, the thaw comes fast, but the freeze comes faster. And if you're too slow, you'll be sealed forever inside the ice vaults of Kurgus. And then there's a D12 table of things the priestess might know. And it says, Anthelia knows you are coming and will try to seize the artifact for herself, which is potentially true. A mirror of ice will steal your likeness. Do not gaze upon it, and that's true. So lots of fun little things that this priestess could know and maybe tell you as you are delving into this icy adventure here for Mork Borg. I really like it. I think the art alone is worth the purchase, and it's on sale. I mean, it's almost 50% off, I think, right now. $7.50 for this. So I encourage you to grab it while it's got that great price on it, and it's under In the Blue Light in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we have The Lore of the Giant Kings. From 𝙤𝙬𝙧𝙬𝙧, it's a suggested price of $1 on Pay What You Want for 12 pages. Author Cliff Dunn. It says, in the misty prehistory of the megacontinent of 𝙬𝙤, alien horrors terrorized the nascent mortal races, creating a living hell on Earth. Then came the Giant Kings, mythical god heroes who overthrew the yoke of the chthonic horrors and ushered in a golden age. Lore of the Giant Kings pierces the veil of that distant time to an era when giants walked the earth of 𝙬𝙤, and a race of demigods taught humans, elves, and other races the earliest forms of magic and science. And this is all for that setting of the free city of Vateshar. So it seems like each week 𝙤𝙬𝙧𝙬 has a new release to kind of give you more and more information about that setting, and always at reasonable prices, usually suggested pay what you want prices. So that's pretty cool. Let's look inside. So you get to see the full book as well. So you get your contents and how to use the Giant Kings in your Vateshar campaign, and then here's all that fun lore with really nice artwork, and then some really lengthy adventure hooks, it looks like here, including some stat blocks, and then even some more information with the star map, etc. So really taking you deep into this setting, and it's cool that each week there's new stuff to discover with this, so you can really kind of just absorb each thing. I think it might be a good way to do it, because you read each one each week, it's going to sink in, you're going to read it, you get the full book, and you're going to skip parts, right? This way, by kind of releasing it at a pay what you want pricing, people can spend their time with each section and really, really absorb it. So it says, the Ancient Ones, the fall of the Yuan-Ti, and the dawn of the sentient races. In the distant prehistoric past of 𝙬𝙤, it is said that the megacontinent was in a perpetual state of nightmare chaos, ruled by monstrous, inhuman, primal beings called today by many names: the Ancient Ones, the Devourers below, tyrants of the endless steppes. Little is known about the Ancient Ones, but the 6 blind sages of Goma, who long studied these matters, believe that their horrific reign ended when enormous sheets of ice enveloped the megacontinent, ushering in an ice age and burying those ancient horrors in frozen tombs beneath the vast white. However, some of their lesser servitor races survived, including a foul species of Yuan-Ti who worshipped the vestigial memories and relics of the Ancient Ones, and used a species of primitive ape men as servants, sustenance, and sacrifice. These Yuan-Ti built an empire that spanned the megacontinent. Their only resistance came from the savage proto-men of the northern wastes. So some fun history, and then it's going to go on more about the Giant Kings, and you can read that on your own. But I really do like all the artwork, how much details in here, and I mean, you can even read this for free as the preview, but hopefully you'll purchase and support the authors by including a price on the pay what you want. But look for it in the links below under Lore of the Giant Kings, and give it a click. Next, we have Maeve's Almanac of Spiritual Phenomena from beyond the screen, and it says explore ethereal environments and hazards for $8, 20 pages. Author Aviad Tal. I don't know if it's Maeve's or Maeve's, so I'm going to say Maeve's. Maeve's renown as a master explorer is well earned. From the spirit-haunted mist enclaves to the soul-draining doldrums, Maeve explored much of the known world and came back to tell the tale. The supplement explores the environments of fantasy worlds and features 5 unique phenomena that can fit into any 5th edition game. Aside from new rules and randomization tables that brings the environment to life, the book contains jotted notes written by the esteemed explorer Maeve from the world of Eleanor. So ethereal environments features 3 new types of supernatural regions: the mist enclaves of Memento Etherealis and doldrums. Spiritual hazards presents 2 types of short-lived phenomena that can appear anywhere in the world: empathy snares and ethereal storms. And I just want to say, news this week came out about the Radiant Citadel book of adventures that is coming out from Wizards of the Coast in June, I believe it is, of this year. And it is focused on a place in the ethereal plane. So I know this isn't necessarily talking about the ethereal plane right off the bat, but it's got a lot of ethereal stuff in here, like ethereal storms and Memento Etherealis, etc. So I think this could be something that could help tie you into that adventure when it comes out, or just help you further explore things in that adventure. So very well timed. It's awesome that it was released the same week as the news of that adventure. So looking inside, you get to see 9 of the 20 pages. And yeah, it's really nicely laid out. You've got this cool preface here in the front, and then ethereal environments. And there's the Mist Enclave, etc., with a really cool table for it. Yeah, it's nice. Nice artwork, too. All right, let's zoom in and see what we can read about the Mist Enclaves. It says, in some regions where the ethereal plane overlaps the material plane, the veil between them is thin, allowing weaker spirits to cross over and materialize. In rare cases, the planes converge completely, bringing the spiritual world into the material realm. These regions are called Mist Enclaves, areas where spirits roam unhindered and visible to everyone. Mist Enclaves present the best and worst of the spirit world, from enchanted forests brimming with life to noxious clouds that suffocate the living and evoke terror in their hearts. An enclave's nature is defined by the most powerful spirits that reside within it. These vivid spirits anchor the enclave to the material plane, and killing them will diminish the enclave's strength and may even destroy it. So, and then there's a whole sidebar about the ethereal plane. And then you get into the different effects that can happen with the Mist Enclave. If it's based around wonder or serenity or hope, you have varying effects that are going to occur as a result, or valor here. So under valor, the first one creature in the area is imbued with strong sense of purpose. The creature has advantage on initiative checks, and their movement speed is increased by 10 feet. Additionally, the creature can take the dash action as a bonus action on each of their turns. This effect lasts for 24 hours. So yeah, you can bring all these different effects and feelings and stuff into the location, and enjoy this beautiful art. And learn about the ethereal plane. Again, like I said before, Radiant Citadel comes out. I mean, this was so superbly timed to release the same week as that news. So great job, and I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be a fun one that people should check out. It's under Maeve's Almanac of Spiritual Phenomena in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we've got The Map is Not the Territory. 23 interpretations of a single dungeon map covering dungeons, minigames, and essays. It's from Certain Deaths, $17. It's system neutral. Lots of authors. I can't read all the names. It says, but the description here from one of the authors is, a while ago I had an idea: round up a whole bunch of tabletop role-playing authors and designers and have them each create something all inspired by a single map. Not just dungeon adventures, but whatever they feel like. It could be a way to show off the unbridled creativity of the RPG community. This is that project. There are 23 interpretations of the map in this anthology, ranging from unique twists on regular dungeon crawls to small war games, to entire self-contained games which cover subjects as diverse as spelunking and monarchy, to things even more inventive. The whole thing is system neutral, which means you'll have to do some work statting up the enemies for your favorite system, but it's really the only practical way to do something like this. So yeah, I just was so intrigued by this concept when I saw it, because it's so true. I mean, you could, any kind of image you could give to 23 different creators and they would all come back with 23 different 23 different stories, right? So this is actually, you know, acting that out and showing what would happen if you turned over the same thing to people. So it's exciting to see stuff like this. And you can see all the different people involved in here, lots of people. There's a foreword, and then you get to see a few, and you get to see 18 of the 82 pages. You get to see a few of them. So this first one is a storytelling micro RPG about dreams, and it uses the map in here as well. You can see the map. This is the map that everybody's using. And then down here is Knight's Tales, which basically looks like it's a game show involving the map that the characters have to deal with. Again, some fun artwork and layout related to that. And then here's another one where they've got sticky tape holding up the map, and they're talking about various points of interest, what's going on in there. And so you can see how you could use this, any of these, for various games, not just even Dungeons and Dragons, because like this one's got space age items. It's a D66 table, like astronaut ice cream packet, freeze-dried carrots, etc. So this one is more of a spaceship one, which is pretty cool. And you know, you can see all those sort of handwritten details. So just, it's even just fun to see how people, what they did. Like this person put it on a scroll, because presumably each of these creators also did their own layout. This one kind of did a sepia toned color of it. I mean, it just lots of fun stuff. Get some mini games out of it, as well as stuff that you can run in your, you know, 5th edition, I'm sure. So I think you should look for it in the links below under Map is Not the Territory and support this kind of thinking and creativity and all these creators. Next we have Pirates, Pegasi, and Peril. And it's from Night Owl Odysseys. And it's $4 for 13 pages. It says, out on the open skies above the Diamond Coast, the Golden Rift soars on gilded wings, shipping goods from port to port. But as of late, pirates have begun attacking their vessel atop winged mounts, and they show no sign of stopping. Can you save the airship before the pirates take it down for good? And then you've got all of this great stuff as usual from Night Owl Odysseys, where you get all these really cool tokens. You can see all the Pegasi. You get these little cards with the items. You get awesome maps, and you get music. And this one is designed for 4 to 6 characters of 12th to 16th level, and it's optimized for level 15. But you can see all these different skyship maps that can be used, and they're gridded and gridless. And then you've got the fully statted monsters, as well as all these little tokens. Now, I don't see anything about the music, so maybe I'm wrong. This one may not contain any music, but a lot of their titles do. Here's a little video on it as well. Even still, even without music, this would be really cool to have, because there's so much usefulness here. I mean, there are many, 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 many rumors that Spelljammer is coming back to Wizards of the Coast, Dungeons and Dragons later this year. If that is the case, these maps right here are going to be even more valuable, because you can use this as a Spelljammer vehicle. And, you know, you can also use it for this awesome adventure. But again, we love to talk about reusability of stuff. If 2 titles are the same price and they have equally good stuff, but one of them has more reusability, personally, I'm going to lean toward the one with more reusability. Like, it has all these extra maps that I can reuse or whatever, right? So consider that. And yeah, I think it's going to be a fun adventure dealing with all these Pegasi and pirates and Peril, of course, as well. And just even these tokens are cute that you can use. I mean, you've got ones with the characters on them, with them off, so you got some flexibility. And yeah, it just looks like a really fun time. I personally love Pegasi and unicorns and all that stuff, so anytime it's there, I'm sold. So check it out under Pirates, Pegasi, and Peril in the links below and give it a click. Speaking of things like Pegasi, we now are going to talk about ponies because we have a Ponyfinder title called Seas of Everglow by David Silver and Silver Games LLC. And this is also, we've talked earlier in this episode about titles that have multiple versions of the game that you can play. This one, as usual from Silver Games, includes multiple versions of the game as well. You got 5th edition, Pathfinder 2, and Pathfinder 1 all compatible. So you're getting 3 systems for the price of 1, and it is a bestseller seller in its first week. That's incredible. That's a really good deal. It is available as a PDF for $19.99, and it's got standard color softcover and hardcovers as well, and you can go softcover with the PDF or hardcover with the PDF. And what's really cool is the hardcover and softcover are the same price, so it's really about your preference here. Do you want a hardcover or softcover? You can pick. It's not going to be limited by price for you, so that's really nice. And it says, in the deep reaches of the ocean there lie things so easily forgotten, but do not return that favor. Friendly and not, their eyes watch unblinking. Do you dare to get your feet wet and discover what wonders await? So there's new sub-races, 6 for 5th edition, 9 for Pathfinder 1, and 17 for Pathfinder 2. An astounding array of feats to customize yourself. 3 new races, and magic for all sorts with 9 for 5th edition in terms of spells. And then you've got classes where you can take do some class options for 5th edition or Pathfinder. 3 new cleric doctrines for Pathfinder 2, 10 new settlements. I mean, just a huge list of stuff. 8 monsters, a new class called the Scion. And then there's various bundles, so I would also encourage you to check those out. If you want to get like a massive Ponyfinder collection, you can do that to get all the titles in this series as a mega bundle. But yeah, I think it's fun. I mean, the Ponyfinder stuff is really cool. I picked up a copy at a local store recently and really enjoyed looking through it. There's some really cool stuff in there, and it's not just ponies. There's a lot to it. That's just kind of like the setting that there happen to be some pony characters, but there's just a lot more to it than that. So if you've been thinking it's just My Little Pony or whatever, don't think that. It's definitely more than that. I've been looking at that, and those who like ponies, I think, will enjoy it, of course, but it's more than that, and I encourage you to give it a try. And spells, you don't have to be a pony to use the spells, right? So you can use these spells for other types of characters, right? And same with some of the other things in this book, like the feats and things like that. So don't let the name throw you, and it's obviously very popular and doing well. I mean, it's his bestseller seller in the first week. That's hard to do. So you should check out this title and see what all the fuss is about. It's under Ponyfinder, Seas of Everglow in the links below. Give it a click. Next we have Rancid Canyons of the Floating Death Sheep for 3 or 4 characters of levels 3 to 4 for 5th edition. It's from Monkey Blood Design. It's $13.25 for 64 pages by Glenn Seal. And it says, 𝘽𝙤𝙘𝙤 is known for its delicious cured and smoked meats. Folk travel for hundreds of miles to sample the delightful tastes and textures of the villagers' meaty products. There's a problem, though. Something is ravaging the livestock populations out in the Badlands, leaving dismembered and disemboweled sheep out rotting in the midday sun. 𝘽𝙤𝙘𝙤's leader, Hester Ceres, is worried, and the farmers and shepherds are having to graze their flocks elsewhere to keep the dwindling meat supply safe. Unfortunately, as the herd animals have not been reared and fed on the vegetation found in the Badlands, the taste of their meat isn't the same, and consequently the locals are getting restless as sales have declined. Several groups, including an angry mob of locals, have gone out to try and hunt whatever is devastating their livestock, but they too have generally ended up as carcasses for the vultures. Only one person has lived to tell the tale, and he refuses to go out there again. Most of the bodies of those villagers killed have been recovered. 2 are still missing. The inhabitants of 𝘽𝙤𝙘𝙤 are getting desperate and need some hunters and or heroes to find the missing settlers and save their precipitous meat industry from whatever is destroying it. And so it's a low-level adventure for 5th edition. It's got immersive NPC and building art, 6 pieces of cartography, 3 magic items, 7 adversaries, 5 engaging mapped encounter locations, and a table of NPC names, all kinds of stuff going on in there. So let's look inside. You get to see 9 of those 64 pages with already a fun little handout. It's a Mark Tide handout. You got your contents here. All kinds of tables listed as well. It says the Midderlands and Lost World, I guess, Wild. And so it's for the Midderland setting, and which it looks like there has some magazines, but it seems to be based clearly on Europe, but an alternate version, because you've got Germania and Moreau as compared to the names that we know. It gives you some information on the setting vibe. Here's a timeline of the events. Yeah, very well organized, I feel like. Meaty delicacies, a whole list of those on a table. So yeah, you're getting not just an adventure, but some reasonable stuff. It says the adventure takes place in Moreau, a fictional regional setting that takes its aesthetics from various sources, so bear in mind that this isn't a facsimile of a real place on Earth, but a car crash of a few different ideas. North Africa meets the Sinai Peninsula, meets South Dakota, meets bad fantasy movies, meets UK old school RPGs. So lots of stuff mixed together. And you got information on the landscape. It says 1,000 years ago, a ram-headed devil was imprisoned beneath the flowing waters of the Dead River by a group of witches who thought it better to imprison him than banish him back to his own plane to gain more power and seek revenge later. My goodness, if you have been watching this whole episode, this is the 3rd title this week talking about imprisoning an evil. I love it. That again, combine this with those other 2 that we looked at and just have a whole campaign of adventurers that are dealing with this imprisoned evil. I mean, this one seems to be more of a background here, but still, a crafty DM could work that into an overall campaign where the players are part of a group that's dealing with imprisoned evils. So yeah. So the flowing waters above him have long since dried up, lessening the magics that imprison him. Bamratha, a devil of minor notoriety amongst devilkind, terrorized the people of the region for years. His reign of terror is still told in old tales thought to be embellished stories told to keep the children in beds at night. More recently, Vile Grumward, a hermit living in the Badlands who is bent on revenge against those in Eberron, has discovered how to access Bamratha's prison. In exchange for eventual freedom, Bamratha is aiding Vile in his revenge. So there you go. It ties in perfectly to a whole campaign of imprisoned baddies, right? I love it. Somebody do it. Let me know how it goes. I think it'll be fun. And these adventures are all different levels, right? This is levels 3 to 4. So I think if you could really sequence the 3 adventures we talked about this week that involve these imprisoned evils in a great way. And they're all different, right? They have that concept, but the execution is totally different. So there's not going to be like repetitive at all. I think it could be really, really interesting. And look at this art. They have like little words stamped like kill and death into their ears. So this one could be really fun. So look for it in the links below under Rancid Canyons of the Floating Death Sheep and give it a click. Next we have Tome of Wondrous Items, a miscellany of magical things from Necromancer Games for 5th edition. It says nearly 600 new magical items, spells, monsters, and mystical tattoos for your campaign. 600. That's massive amounts of stuff. And it's only $22. It doesn't say how many pages, but it's presumably a lot because 600 is a lot of stuff. Says it's a companion volume for their acclaimed Tome of Alchemy, which offers a vast array of resources for creative game mastery. Learn about the fascinating but disgusting brain jar, the ring of the smoke worm, the terrifying rod of necromancy, the staff of the arch spider, the wand of runes, and the scepter of the heavens. And so it's got chapters filled with magical armor, rings, rods, scrolls, etc. Magical tattoos. The book contains an appendix covering magical tattoos, how to get them, how to use them, and their powers. Not all magic is of this world. Using otherworldly items often comes at great peril. Normal identification magic yields nothing. The only sure way is a combination of research into dusty tomes and dangerous experimentation. If weird tech items such as golem suits and energy projectors are your thing, you're covered and energized. New spells such as obfuscate nature and suppress item, as well as optional rules for dealing with magical conjunction and panoplies of items. And there's some new monsters with wondrous items that summon strange things. Be wary of the spell moth. So seems like a lot of very different things, really cool items and optional rules, ways to interact. And then you've got monsters and spells and tattoos all on top of this stuff. So I really think it's a lot for $22, which is great. So here's your table of contents in the 8-page preview. It's big. It's a lot of stuff. I mean, Staves gets its own chapter. Wands gets its own chapter. I mean, yeah, it just goes. So it looks like it's over 100 pages total, you know, including tattoos. And look at this gorgeous artwork. I mean, just stunning, stunning, stunning artwork. So there's nothing to read in here per se, other than to maybe read some of the names of the items. So you've got something called Abba of the Dancing Queen. Okay, I like that. And Amulet of Resurrection, Automata Cart, Boon Jar, Box of Evils, Blade of Truth, Wand of Roses. That sounds really cool. Potion of Magma, a Scroll Familiar, Rod of Conjuration, Ring of Kicking, and Ancient King's Harness. So it's just so many different options in here, and it's all under Tome of Wondrous Items. So go down in the video description links, give it a click, and get yourself 600 things for $22. It's worth it. Next we have Untold Encounters of the Random Kind. 1,000+ random encounters for any tabletop RPG, but it's compatible with 5th edition. $19.99 from Loke Battlemats, and 340 pages. So very cool. It looks beautiful. You can see how it looks here. And it says the Untold Encounters of the Random Kind is a tool to generate ideas, encounters, and even entire adventures for fantasy RPG games. This book is designed to work with your existing RPG system, and we provide a 5e conversion guide in addition to our system agnostic mechanics. 1,000 random encounters, 6 mini 5e pre-written adventures, adventure generators, and is packed full of random tables. There's town encounters, wilderness encounters, and dungeon encounters. And then each of those sections is broken down even further. And then they've got roll tables so you can randomize your choices. Each chapter contains hundreds of relevant random encounters and also entire adventure generators, so you can roll up an entire campaign if you wish to do so. And that's just, I mean, always going to be helpful because, you know, you just sometimes need the players went in a direction you didn't expect. You need a quick encounter to have something happen wherever they went. Or maybe you need to fill in a session, or you didn't get time to prep. I mean, just infinite reasons why this kind of book is good. And I mean, 340 pages is massive. So we get to see 6 of those 340, and you can see they're separated. So you've got town districts, and then the encounters are built around those districts. And then wilderness, same thing. It's built around the different terrain, so desert, forest, mountains, etc. And then dungeon, whether it's a door, an enemy, environmental interaction, traps, all that stuff. And then they've got some full-on adventures here for 5th edition, as well as the random tables. So just a ton of stuff for you. So it goes through the structure of the book, the mechanics, how they're going to talk about the different things. So let's just kind of zoom in, because again, it's trying to be system neutral. So it's going to explain, you know, whether it's the difficulty is simple or near impossible. So it's difficulty is used to indicate the chance of success at a task, So, for example, skill or ability-based tests like lockpicking, climbing, perception, etc. So simple, very little chance to fail for a suitably trained character, all the way to near impossible, should require exceptional effort or assistance to complete the most difficult skill challenges available. So, you know, from a DC point of view, you know, the simple would be pretty low DC, and then the near impossible would be pretty high DC, and then these other ones in between. And you know, if you buy this book, you could sketch that out pretty quickly, a little range that you use, so that you pretty much translate these things. And then they have the same thing for challenge, which would be equivalent to your challenge rating. And then group sizes can be lone, a single enemy or NPC, or beyond count for the purpose of the encounter. There is no end to the number of enemies or NPCs, so that's pretty large. It's nice that they have so many options there. Yeah, I really like this, yeah, I think there's just so much to be had in a book like this, because I mean, just looking at, I mean, a cemetery. They've got pages on a cemetery and like all the different kinds of encounters there, and then slums or an undercity. I mean, just any one of these is going to be so valuable to you as a DM. So I really think if you're a DM, you got to get this book, especially at $19.99 for 340 pages, because just thinking of the adventures you're going to get. You know, they've got these 6 pre-written 5th edition adventures. So that's 6 adventures. I mean, just that for $20, and that's less than $5 an adventure, and that's not counting all the other stuff you're getting. So I think this is a super cool deal, and I really think you can consider picking it up and bringing it to your table. And it's under Untold Encounters of the Random Kind. So look for it in the video description links and give it a click. Well, that's our last DriveThruRPG title this week. We're going to move on to DM's Guild, but before we do, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave us a comment, let us know what you're thinking about the titles this week, any that you're interested in, that you're going to grab, or questions you have, or anything you want to share about D&D. I love interacting with everybody in the comments. I'm happy to respond to you personally. And then click all those links, support all these creators, purchase their books, encourage them to keep producing such wonderful content for us to review each week. And if you click any of those links and make a purchase, you're going to be helping the channel, because we do get a small percentage as part of the affiliate program. So if you plan to shop on either of these sites, you know, if you could click one of our links first, we really appreciate it. That helps us. And if you're feeling super generous, we have 5 books we released last year, listed as well in the links that you can click. We've got the Feywild Companion in hardcover, softcover, and digital, with over 150 pages of Feywild goodness, including VTT tokens and maps as well. Then we've got Potions Unlocked, which is print on demand and digital, and it's over 100 pages devoted to potions, with backstories for the potions, potion locations, vendors, everything you could ever want or need for potions. If you buy that book, you're good for potions probably forever. And then we've got Van Richten's Librum of Lineages, deep diving into lineages with a bunch of new ones, which is, you know, those are suitable for any campaign, even though the title is Van Richten's. It was just themed around that when we created it, but it's useful for any setting. And then you've got Secrets of the Draugr, a brand new race that combines the mysteries of the Drow and the Duergar into something unexpected with deities and fortune-telling. And then lastly, we have Fizban's Vault of Draconic Secrets, which all kinds of dragon stuff, including a dragon-themed subclass for every single class. That means no class is left out. Every class can have a dragon-themed one. And we've got other stuff in there, including horde magic items, regular magic items, draconic gifts, familiars, just good stuff all around. And I think you'll really enjoy it. And stay tuned. I mean, follow us on all the social media channels, not only for the free content we give out throughout the week and the exclusive discounts on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, etc., but because we've got some exciting stuff. There's a book coming out very soon, likely in May, that I can't wait to start telling you more about, and it's going to be something very useful and unexpected. So stay tuned. I've given a few hints so far this episode. I might give a few more before the episode's over. We'll see. But each week I'll be giving a couple little hints. So stay tuned. All right, let's go on to the DM's Guild. Our first DM's Guild title is Velsharuun's Gift, or 3 for 5e. 𝘽𝙤𝙤𝙪𝙧𝙬 Gift with this fun cover. I like the style of the covers that 3 for 5e is doing. It's from Cackling Slayers, 99 cents for 7 pages. Super great price for this. This is Walking Dead Rome, the Cold Winter Night. A horde of highly infectious zombies have been released from a forgotten network of tombs. There's no time to waste. The entrance to the catacombs must be blown up before more undead emerge from the depths. When the characters accidentally get involved, it's up to no one else but them to avert the zombie apocalypse. So another situation where something was imprisoned and got released, which I love. We've seen 3 other titles with similar points at the center of the story, but very different executions. So I'm pointing it out because sometimes people like to stitch together the titles from the week into a campaign, and so I think this could be another one for a super great price that could be strung into that ongoing campaign where it's a group of people dealing with things that are imprisoned and getting released. So it says, eager to find out what it's like to run a zombie movie one-shot in 5th edition, then this adventure is for you. With the backstory provided, 𝘽𝙤𝙤𝙪𝙧𝙬 Gift can easily be plugged into Forgotten Realms or any other fantasy setting. We've also added stats for the Serum Zombie, a brand new monster inspired by the shambling undead we know and love from Romero movies and The Walking Dead. And it's got a good mix of combat, exploration, and role-playing. And I love the art style of their maps. So we're going to look inside and you'll see more of those. But you get to see all the pages. Super helpful. And yeah, you can scroll through and just see, like, look at this cool little hand-drawn map. The Temple of Lathander. And then this burial mound. And then you've got at the end some stat blocks and items. And you know, these this burial mound map, you can reuse that. This Temple of Lathander, I mean, you can use that all the time in Forgotten Realms for sure. So very cool. So let's read a little bit about the adventure hook. It says characters are escorting the wagon of wine merchant Oswald Pendrake along the road when they get involved in the events unfolding in Area 1. So let's see. Having been delayed by a passing snowstorm, the merchant's escort is still many miles away from the nearest settlement as night sets in. A hooded lantern hanging from the merchant's wagon casts bright light in a 30-foot radius and a dim light for 30 additional feet. Oswald Pendrake is a haughty and impatient member of the famous family of vintners. His wagon is being pulled by 2 riding horses. Inside the wagon are 12 crates with 8 bottles of Pendrake Dry each. While moving slowly along the snow-covered road, the characters see a figure stumbling out of the woods. The sturdy-built man is 𝘙𝙤𝙤𝙤𝙤. He's badly injured and on the verge of succumbing to his wounds. In between heavy sighs, he shares the following information. So he talks about how he's encountered various things, including he and his men have made a terrible mistake by opening up a caved-in tunnel. A swarm of biting corpses overwhelmed them. He managed to break free and run off into the woods. Derek fears that his men were not so lucky. So again, opening up something you're not supposed to open up. Maybe we need to call in that party of adventurers that's skilled at putting things back to where they're supposed to be, or resolving this when it happens. And maybe, you know, if you do stitch together this adventure with the other ones we talked about this week, you can have it be that there's some big bad that is orchestrating all of this, that is like undoing all of the prisons, the guarded imprisonment of other bads, so that it can be free to do what it wants to be doing because everybody's busy dealing with these other bads that have been released, right? This is a big distraction ploy. Or maybe the big bad wants all of these various things that have been released to come together and work with it. So many options. I love it. I love when I do these videos and there seems to be this subconscious theme because I get excited and I think about a whole campaign people can put together. And I hope people out there do, because I think it'll be real memorable for your table. But this adventure, I mean, I love what Cackling Slayers have been doing with these 3 for 5e. They're giving you really cool, clean maps, very creative ideas, good mixture of the 3 pillars, and incredibly cheap prices for what you get. So, I mean, just even having those stat blocks and items for 99 cents, I mean, that's awesome. So I really encourage you to look for it in the links below under 3 for 5e, 𝘽𝙤𝙤𝙬𝙧𝙀 gift, and give it a click. Next, we have Background Feats System, make all backgrounds unique, from GMBF Homebrew, and it's $2.99 for 7 pages. Backgrounds are important because they let you flesh out your characters in ways that are different than just the mechanics of classes. But what if you could use them to improve build variety and roleplay possibilities without just giving players a free feat at level 1? These background feats are just that, small feats with limited power budget made specifically for the purpose of increasing player options and build variety while also improving roleplay possibilities outside of combat. When you pick a background at level 1, you also get the respective background feat without replacing your background features. For example, if you choose the investigator background, you'll get the tools of the trade feat. Now your characters can be even more unique. So, to give you a little background on the background feats, so Wizards of the Coast over the course of the 5th edition has kind of changed how they're doing backgrounds. Originally it was, you know, you'd get a background, it had the 4 tables, and then there was like a feature that was kind of a minor mechanical thing usually, nothing crazy. And then with releases like Strixhaven, they're now doing backgrounds where you get a full-on feat, and they're doing like commingled tables or lesser tables. So it's really kind of a shift in how Wizards is doing backgrounds. So what this does, unfortunately, you know, although I like that they're continuing to explore on Wizards, but what it does, unfortunately, for GMs and DMs is it presents a challenge, because you've got maybe players that are like complaining and saying, oh, my old background doesn't have the power that these new backgrounds have, and now I only want the new backgrounds. And so there's this conflict, right? Because there isn't this update to all the old backgrounds. And so, you know, who knows? Maybe Wizards will release a book soon that has, you know, takes all the backgrounds that have been released so far in 5th edition and collects them together and gives feats, you know, redoes them basically. But in the meantime, we have folks like GMBF Homebrew coming in with a system that sounds like it's a hybrid, because it sounds like it's going to give you the feats that will satisfy the need for that, but it's not going to be crazy. So it's going to be like a blend of like you get a feat, but you still get to keep the feature that your background had also, which I think is cool, because then you could maybe even integrate it with existing campaigns and characters without disruption, you know, too much. So let's look inside. Get to see 2 of the 7 pages. And you can see already they're just diving straight into each of these backgrounds that we're familiar with. So let's just look at the very first one, the Acolyte. And it says also Luxembourg. So Guiding Hand, you learn the Thaumaturgy cantrip. Also, once per long rest, you can start a sermon targeting a number of willing creatures. You can see up to 2+ your proficiency modifier. After 1 minute of non-stop sermon, the next attack made against these creatures in the next 10 minutes will be made with disadvantage. To benefit from this feature, the creature must have some degree of religious belief. So that's cool, because it's, you know, the Acolyte is a religious background, right? And so integrating this sort of sermon into this feat is nice, because it definitely, like the description on the catalog page says, it's tying into that roleplay opportunity. It's not just like, here's some random thing you could do. It's tied into this very background, because backgrounds, I think, more than anything, are roleplay. They're really like, where did I come from? Where am I going? What do I think about things? How do I feel? What are my flaws? All that stuff, right? And so it's great that they've gone through and taken, you know, a stab at giving each one of these familiar backgrounds something that can kind of bring it in line with the new Strixhaven style backgrounds. So love it. Think you should check it out. $2.99 to get all the backgrounds, you know, up to date is really cool. So check it out under Background Feats System in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we've got Bugbear Adventurers. Rise of the Goblin Hero from Arthur De Martino, $2.95 for 19 pages. And it says, from the pages of Volog's Guide to Monsters, Bugbears were presented as cunning brutes bred for war, uncouth, uncultured, and savage. But what's a savage if not a misunderstood people? In the Rise of the Goblin Hero series, we expand on Dungeons & Dragons' rich lore to mold a more heroic and player-friend figure of the Bugbear, elevating them from the monstrous player options to a heritage just as valid as an elf or dwarf. We do so by taking the lore that is already in the game and making it more complex and compelling, so the Bugbear feels like a people and not just like monsters with player stats. So we've talked about this on this channel a number of times in a number of these episodes, that people are wanting to move away from this notion that everything's black and white, that a bugbear is evil, a human is good, and it's just that that simple. Humans can be bad and bugbears can be good, and it's these shades of gray. And I love titles like this that are really helping blur those lines and helping people see that it's not just that way, because unfortunately there are people that will see things as black and white in the game and then walk out into the world and see things as black and white too. And so I think it's good to do things like this to open people's eyes, help them see the world differently, help them see the many shades of gray. Because especially if you spend a lot of time playing the game, if you play even a video game where things are very black and white like that for hours and hours on end, it's possible that subconsciously it's impacting how you see the world outside of the game. I'm not saying always that happens, but it could. So I love when titles like this are released, because we do need more and more opportunities, just even a one-shot or something for people to just get some exposure and think differently, instead of being sort of set in this black and white mindset of good and evil. So here we have, it says, learn how the Bugbear Society works, who they worship, what they craft, their preferred foods, and cultural trends. There's 3 fleshed out Bugbear gangs that double as backgrounds for player characters. This showcases how diverse Bugbear Society can be, showcasing how gangs can deviate from the base Bugbear culture or how they live under it on their own terms. It says, want to play a bugbear but you're having trouble setting goals for your character, or even how to react to a party of more traditional adventurers? We've got you covered. And then new subclasses, not bugbear exclusive, but the cunning warrior and the stalker represent well the cultural combat style expected of a bugbear brave. And then you've got alternate bugbear racial rules. So that's helpful too. So if you don't have Volos, you can use the alternate rules here. And look at the cute art of the bugbears having a fun time in this little cavern home. They've got a little teddy bear here and a little bedding area in the back. I mean, it's just pretty cool. All right, so looking inside, it goes to how to use it, why play as a bugbear, and then you've got a short story, the bugbear people, gang examples, and then, of course, adventurers. So you start with this short story, then you get the structure of the society, the religion. Let's read a little bit about the religion. 𝘎𝙤𝙘 the Elder. As his might is legendary, Bugbear elders proclaim stories of great battles where 𝘎𝙤𝙘 took to the field in a flash of violence, eliminating whatever foe was in front of him with a quick succession of blows. The figure of 𝘎𝙤𝙘 is of power and efficiency. To the Bugbear people, violence is only to be prized if it accomplishes something and does so fast. Thus, 𝘎𝙤𝙘 is seen as the perfect warrior, the one to be emulated by the youth, and it is in these jolts of violence that they worship his divine prowess. There isn't an organized religion for 𝘎𝙤𝙘, for the natural muscle and hunting ways of the Bugbear people. Thus, they see in their potential and body a direct connection to the Elder. So that's just one, and they've got more in here. So fun stuff. I mean, really cool. Bugbears get ignored a lot or just treated as, one-dimensional villains. So it's exciting to see some options, and they are waiting for you in the links below under Bugbear Adventurers. Give it a click. Next, we have Bullseye, the Archer's Handbook from Stuart Braz, and it's $6.96, I believe. Let me zoom in. I can't. Yeah, $6.96. And it says it's full of archery-focused options for Dungeons and Dragons. It says it's got a guide to making an archery-focused PC that covers every character class with 9 full subclasses, including a revised arcane archer. There's archery-focused spells and feats, new rules for increasing tactical options for archers, and a guide to dealing with long-distance encounters. Over 36 magic items for archers. You'll never need to worry about the lack of magic bow or arrow options again. New non-magical arrow options, including alchemical arrows. New creatures that incorporate ideas from this book. And then it lists the subclasses. So you've got Arrowsmith, Path of the Skirmisher, College of the Whistling Wind, Hunt Domain, Primal Archer Sniper, etc. And then it'll list a bunch of magic items, including Aberrant Arrow all the way down to Viper Arrow here, and varying rarities for those, including some legendary. So that's nice. So here's your table of contents. There's even some archery-based encounters. So yeah, everything archery in here. You've got even a glossary of archery terms with some nice art and cool layout here. So it goes into the Arrowsmith. So you get to see basically the whole book. Yeah, this is 35 pages, so you get to see all of it. So very kind of the authors to allow you to read everything for free. And here's some spells. So let's read some of the spells. So this first one is Animate Arrow. It's a 2nd level transmutation. Its range of 60 feet, concentration up to 10 minutes. Choose 1d4 arrows you see within range. They animate and become tiny constructs under your control until the spell ends or until reduced to 0 hit points. As a bonus action, you can mentally command animated arrows you made with the spell if they are within 500 feet of you. You decide what action each of them will take and where it will move during its next turn. Or you can issue a general command, such as to guard a particular chamber or corridor. If you issue no commands, the arrows only defend themselves against hostile creatures. Once given an order, an arrow continues to follow it until its task is complete. When you cast this spell using a spell slot of 3rd level or higher, the number of arrows animated increases by 1d4 for each slot above the 2nd, and is for Artificer, Ranger, and Wizard. So yeah, that's fun. And then you got the Everfull Quiver, Conjuration, range of touch, 8 hours. For Artificer, Ranger, Sorcerer, and Wizard. You touch a quiver and ensure that it does not run out of arrows until the spell ends. Anyone who reaches into the quiver can retrieve a normal arrow. If the quiver contains non-magical arrows or bolts that cost less than 1 GP each time, at the time the spell was cast, ammunition of any of those types is available in addition to your normal arrows. If a creature retrieves a piece of ammunition from the quiver, it selects the type of its choice from those available. So that's cool that it's like impacts others, not just you. So that could be a really fun one. Yeah, and there's a lot of them in here. And then there's even some additional archery rules with aiming, mounted archery, unconventional targets, missed targets. Yeah, it looks, I mean, everything archery. Like if somebody asked me, oh, you know, can I be an archer in D&D? I would be like, yeah, you can. And you probably should get this book, because it seems to be just like covering everything you could want for archery. So I think it hits the bullseye, and you should look for it in the links below under bullseye and give it a click. Next we have Curse of Strahd, Tosalinka Pass, Tailspire Edition maps from John Fuller, Anthony Hart. Pay what you want. Suggest a price of 99 cents for this. And it's really just bringing the Curse of Strahd, one of the most popular modules of all time, to life for you in Tailspire. So if you like the Tailspire VTT, which we're seeing pictures of here, so where you can see kind of this 3D map of you know, what's happening in your campaign. You got all these little ghosts in here and little characters dealing with things, and this giant bat's going to swoop in as you're on this really high bridge here, which is presumably Tosalinka Pass. And it says it's got 9 revised room descriptions, which accurately reflect rooms visible to the players. Details of the challenges of converting 2D maps to 3D. Because, of course, I mean, when we see these 2D maps in the books, we have to use some creative license to transform them into 3D, because we can't ask wizards, hey, what's under this? Or how high is this, right? So we have to make up some things as we convert, but I like that they have some discussion of that in here. That's pretty cool. And then there's a tier 2 and tier 3 encounter chart with each with 10 entries, all with pre-configured tokens and direct import links. So if you're using Tailspire, this seems like it should be pretty easy to bring in there. And I will point out that they have released others. They've got the Werewolf Den, the Amber Temple, and you can see quite a few other things for Tailspire from these authors, and certainly for your Curse of Strahd. So if you want to run pretty much your whole Curse of Strahd in Tailspire, you could with this series. And I mean, at a pay what you want price, can't beat that. I do recommend paying something though, because this quite often is really a labor of love for people. So look for it in the links below under 𝙁𝙤𝙬𝙀 𝙀, or Curse of Strahd, 𝙁𝙤𝙬𝙀 𝙀, and give it a click. Next we got Domains of Chaos 2 from Christoph Langham, D.W. Lawrence, and Emily Nagel. $4.99 for 35 pages, and it says all creator proceeds are donated to Doctors Without Borders, which, you know, we talked about that last week. You know, the conflict in Ukraine right now. Doctors Without Borders is helping with that, and of course they do other very charitable things to help people get the health care and needs that they you know, meet their health needs. So I think supporting that would be awesome. It says, lurking behind illusory walls beneath the soils and brambles, or projected into the minds of unlucky passers-by, domains of chaos and their denizens are waiting for visitors. Creatures in these domains are ruled by no one, and find the very idea laughable. These residents view chaos as the one and only true nature of the wilds, and outsiders who encounter them will quickly discover how committed some are to this principle. Visitors that adhere strictly to the ethics of other places will often find themselves in danger among these folk, and would do well to avoid them entirely. Found in this book are details of such places and creatures, how they are usually encountered or spawned, typical goings-on, along with many other topics included in the domain's description. It says, so the original Domains of Chaos was a mere 4 pages and was written as a very minor companion to inspire those running adventures in the Feywild. The sequel was written with much more detail on the new domains and hopes to offer DMs running games in them solid foundation. So there's 4 new Domains of Chaos. You've got Bramblin, the Wild Domain, Felfinideth, the Joyful Dread Domain, Unseemly, the Invisible Domain, and Witherfire, the Blue Flame Domain. So all kinds of fun names there. And then you got 7 new ancestries from the Bramblin all the way to the Witherfire Goblin, and 4 new subclasses from the Unseen Artificer to the Blue Flame Warlock. Each domain includes conflicts with both violent and non-violent solutions. May these discordant places help those of you running games in the Feywild and make you think twice before taking the Fey so lightly. So yeah, let's look inside, and it's really nice layout. They've got credits, contents, and even some other books that could be used with this, which is nice. And then you got Domains of Chaos introduction here, Life in Chaos. You're going to see 10 of those 35 pages. And I mean, look at this fun art. I mean, this definitely looks like somebody experiencing some chaos. But yeah, you've got these little houses. I mean, she's trying to grab this, he or she, or they are trying to grab this little flute here, it looks like, or wand. And then you've got these little villages at the end. I mean, this little kitty looking in the window, so cute. A medium fae named Echo. Felfinideth is the Joyful Dread Domain. So let's just read about Felfinideth since we're already on this page. It says, denizens of Felfinideth do as they please. Though many of them are undead creatures, they prefer to revel in their current states of existence and celebrate often. They will embrace outsiders, invite them to parties, and treat them as honored guests, offering them free lodging, spirits, and food. And then their currency is coin, blood, food, magic, and general services. Discovery travelers may awaken in Felfinideth if they spend the evening under a full moon in the Feywild, or by wandering a graveyard at night on any plane and suddenly becoming lost. After being unable to escape the graveyard, they find themselves in Greywalk, which is one of the settlements. Felfinideth can be escaped if a creature attunes to the Moonstone in Edgar Siegel's possession. Doing so allows them and a maximum of 5 creatures of their choice currently in Felfinideth to teleport to a location they previously visited in the Feywild. This process takes 10 minutes, etc. But yeah, I mean, this is so cool because you can see how you could weave these in. You know, you could already be in the Feywild and just fall into this joyful dread domain and then get out of it using the Moonstone. So you could really have entire campaigns using all the Feywild books and this one where you bounce from domain to domain, you know, or just around the Feywild doing different things. And just, I mean, there's just so much. I really like what Wizards is doing with these domain concepts in these planes, because it's allowing so many options and allowing regions within regions, as opposed to, oh, it's just exactly this landscape and you got to pick a unmarked dot, you know, or make a dot on the map and create your thing there. No, you can say, okay, there's this archfey, or there's this entity that is causing this separate domain to sort of flow in and out of this plane, and that's why you're there. And yeah, it's just opening up so many storytelling possibilities and freeing, I think, DMs and players and storytellers from the limitations of maybe past editions with regard to maps and how things are laid out, and, you know, trying to fit things in. You can still have some fun with that. It's not the end of the world. It's just, I like the greater flexibility. And just, this book just seems packed with stuff. If you like Feywild stuff, I think this could be a really good one for you. So look for it in the video description links under Domains of Chaos 2 and give it a click. Next we have Feanorian Guide to Solarmancy, and it's from Koa Johnson, or Koa the DM, and it's 13 pages. It says, in this extensive guide you will find a new branch of magic similar to Dunamancy known as Solarmancy, a type of magic that draws from the celestial and powerful radiant magic of the sun, or a similar solar entity. With spells like Sunstrike, Solar Storm, and Helios's armaments, you can become a wielder of solar energy to disintegrate your foes into nothing but ash. So very cool. And it's got 24 new spells and sunstones, everything from cantrips to a 9th level spell, and magic items you can use. So let's look inside. Get to see 10 of those 13 pages. So Solarmancy, for those who are not embedded into the capital city of 𝘽𝙤𝙤 and have an understanding of Solarmancy and its impact, Solarmancy at its core allows the user to wield radiant and divine-like powers without the need of a divine entity. Through the focus of a sunstone, Solarmancy allows for arcane scholars and wizards to craft divine spells in an arcane fashion. All Solarmancy must be cast through a sunstone, as it acts as a conduit to a divine energy when the individual does not have a divine connection. And then it talks about sunlight versus not sunlight. You got your sunstones. These are all the different wondrous items that involve you in the Solarmancy. And then you even got a legendary one. And then you've got the spells. So let's look at the first sunstone here. The sun disk. This 4-foot diameter gilded disc has a thin layer of glass surrounding it that has elements of radiant charged amber within. The sun disc itself does not have many uses on its own. However, it can easily be connected to other enchantments and spells, such as Glyph of Warding, over the course of 1 hour. Once the sun disk is connected in this way, whenever concentrated sunlight comes into contact with the sun disk, usually through sunstone producing thin beams of sunlight, the sun disk activates and flips, causing whatever the enchantment it is connected to activate. This is usually combined with the abjuration-based magic that will ward the area until the sun disk is activated. And then down here under spells, you've got Sunflare, evocation cantrip, 60 feet instantaneous. You focus and expel a beam of pure sunlight, make a ranged spell attack. On a hit, the creature takes radiant damage, and if the creature is in direct sunlight, they are showered with a golden or a glowing radiance, and the next attack roll made against this target before you start your next turn has advantage. And it has upcasting. I'm not sure which classes it's for, maybe everyone or just wizards. Or maybe there's a table in here somewhere that tells you, but really cool. I like all this solar themed stuff. I think it's often overlooked as an option for Magic, and I think you're going to find lots of fun things in here to explore the sunny side of Dungeons and Dragons. So look for it under Feanorian Guide to Solarmancy in the links below and give it a click. Next, we have Frank and Kinsey's Tradesfolk Compendium from Robert Kane, Ashton Powell, Ben Jackson Ellery, and a bunch of others. It says it's a collaboration of new writers in the TTRPG scene as they create supplements, and you'll find a variety of shops and NPCs to insert into your games at home. From a shop of soaps and magical bath bombs and a cheese emporium to magical kites and a mysterious traveling wheel of chance. So 15 shops, locations, or organization, rules for running your own shop in downtime, 4 new backgrounds, including the Butcher, Baker, and Candlestick Maker, 11 new subclasses, many magical items, and 18 new spells. And then it lists all the organizations, including Baker's Retreat, an inn built by an adventuring veteran and a haven for all, as well as your old curiosity shop variant rules for running your own shop. And then they've got the subclasses, everything from the botanist for the artificer all the way down to the school of candlemakers for the wizard. And they don't have a preview, but they do have a link. So I clicked that and it looks like it goes to Imager. So you can see Fotherington Smythe Fisheries and Kelly's Knickknacks and Trick or Treat, a magical bakery, and just some of the other ones as well, including some of the paths. So you get a wide assortment of things from this. Quite a bit of art you can look at as well. So let's go back and read about Trick or Treat, a magical bakery. Want to boost your stamina? Try my blueberry eclairs. Feeling a little unlucky? Have this carrot cupcake. I baked a whole rabbit's foot into it, for good luck. If you are a dragonborn and your breath weapon isn't as strong as it used to be, I strongly recommend one of our new creations, a chocolate-filled fireberry croissant. It may melt your vocal cords, but who needs to talk if you can impress with a storm of fiery destruction? So that's a fun little, quote of the proprietor here, and it's got various pastries, and one of them is the blueberry eclair. It's a potion common. Make a con saving throw, and on a success you gain +2 con for 1d12 hours. On a failed save you still gain the beneficial effect, but your face turns deep blue for the duration of the effect. I like that the failure is really just a ribbon, it's just a visual. And then we've got the brioche butterflies. And it says the tiefling girl gets behind the counter's little fangs showing as she addresses a slowly gathering crowd with the most adorable laugh and a delightful accent. So they're really detailing the characters and bringing things to life. I like the artwork, and it's exciting. I mean, these are new creators. If you grab this book, you're really encouraging them to continue creating stuff. And I mean, just the little bits that we read, I think is very inventive and shows a lot of promise. I'm excited to see where these creators go as they put out more materials, and I think there's a lot to be had in this one already. So it's exciting. Check it out under Frank and Kinsey's Tradesfolk Compendium in the links below, and give it a click. Next we have Grasp of the Crooked Coven, a level 1 to 5 campaign of Fey, Whimsy, and Terror by Zeke Gonzalez, and just an amazing cover. I mean, this cover is just truly beautiful. And it's $17 for the PDF, but you can get a combination of that and a soft cover for $35, and it's 108 pages. And it says it's got a setting guide and an adventure path. Campaign compiles all the information contained in the individual supplements that were related to this and into one solitary product. So chapter 1 contains all the information you need to run the adventures in Mistwood, a sylvan forest of magic, wonder, and terror. Chapter 2 describes the nearby timber village of Oak Hollow, its notable locations, resident NPCs, and relevant side quests. And chapters 3 through 7 are 5 connected adventures centered around a coven of wicked hags and their insidious brood, and it's designed for characters of 1st to 5th level. These adventures can be run individually or tied together. About the Crooked Coven, if you want. And I like this. I love the artwork and how unique each of the hags seems to be here. 11 side quests, 40 random encounters, 27 new monsters, including dynamic multi-stage boss fights. So yeah, just really fun. And let's take a look inside. So you get to see 19 of those 108 pages. So yeah, it's just as it described. Those locations make up the first 3 chapters, and then you get right into those adventures, and then a huge appendix of monsters. And let's see if we can zoom in and see. So everything from the amble urchin all the way to the unliving ossuary. And then you've got your introduction, the side quests, and then this is an adventure flow chart. And then it talks about the brief history of the Mistwood, trials of the Mistwood, and all the random encounter tables. Yeah, lots of stuff in here. The Petrified Prince, Unearthed Cemetery, Blood Garden. Yeah, very cool. And then adventure hooks, etc. Drunken Sapling. So yeah, let me find a little bit to read in here. So much good stuff. It's hard to pick where to read. Let's see. Side quests. Okay, the Crooked Coven. Recently, a trio of powerful hags who call themselves the Crooked Coven have set their sights on the corruption and destruction of 𝙁𝙗𝙤𝙤. The coven is composed of the Sea Hag, Mandy Brinesbreath, the Green Hag, Rose Meatpincher, and the Night Hag, Granny Moonsucker. Mandy Brinesbreath is poisoning 𝙁𝙗𝙤𝙤's water supply and mutating its fish into violent monsters. Rose Meatpincher is luring pets and children into the woods to perform terrible experiments on them. Granny Moonsucker is corrupting the minds and souls of 𝙁𝙗𝙤's residents, pushing them to acts of terrible violence against one another. In addition to their own schemes, the coven's wicked hag spawn have also been causing trouble in 𝙁𝙗𝙤. So I love how distinct each one of those are. They have different tactics and an appropriate name for what they're up to. So just very well done as usual from this crew. And yeah, it looks fun. I mean, you've got random encounter tables. I mean, all these settings that you can reuse. Fae stuff is always fun, so a lot to tie into with the other books that have been released on that topic. And I mean, just a whole campaign of Fae whimsy and terror. So I think you need to get a grasp of the Crooked Coven by looking for it in the links below and giving it a click. Next, we have the hunt for the Red Wyvern, or Wyvern, however you say it. Searching for a stolen airship between revenge, betrayal, and intrigue for Eberron. And it's by Igor Komanuli, or Nali. $3 for 15 pages. It's a 5-hour adventure for 6th level characters, part of a bundle, so make sure you check that out, which has, it looks like, some other adventures. Theft House Lyrandar has been robbed of its latest prototype airship. 𝙤𝙬𝙧𝙬𝙬 is looking for brave adventurers to hunt down the thief, the infamous Red Wyvern. In this adventure, you'll find an adventurous thief hunt from the city of Sharn to Stormreach, a chase between 2 continents, a story that confronts players with moral choices, duty, or justice, and about 5 hours of investigation, action, intrigue, and adventure. The story of pulp, action, and revenge. And looking inside, you get to see 4 of those 15 pages. So goes into Sharn and the meeting and the Lyrandar Tower and investigations. So it says the group is called to Sharn by Silar de Lyrandar, an important member of House Lyrandar, who would like to hire them for a mission. The client promises a large reward, but to explain the details of the venture, he wants to meet the characters in person. Silar's office is located in the Dragon Towers district in Central Middle. And in the same complex, several house officials work daily to be introduced in the presence of Silar. The characters must first turn to the reception and report they have an appointment. The Lyrandar employee is a good-looking, professional-looking Kalashtar man. Only then will the man explain to the group how to get to Silar's personal office. And then it says the door of the office is just differentiated from the others by a golden plate engraved with the full name of Silar. So very descriptive. I like how descriptive it is, letting you know every little thing you're going to see basically as you go through this process of connecting with your contact. And yeah, it looks like it could be fun. I know Eberron is quite popular, and airships are always cool. And as I said earlier, airships are going to become probably more important later in the year if the rumors are true that the Spelljammer is coming from Wizards. So look for this in the links below under Hunt for the Red Wyvern and give it a click. Next, we have Running a 10 Town by Patrick Reese. Mechanics for Town Speaker Election and Running a Town, $2.95 for 17 pages. 17 pages, I should say. So this ties into Rime of the Frost Maiden, Icewind Dale, all that stuff, and the 10 Towns, right? So that you got something on the town speaker election, which is a competitive mechanic for a player to run in a town speaker election, while the DM or fellow players run the NPC competitors. Then there's 5 examples of those competitors, and then an extensive mechanic with discontent and poverty scores to manage buildings to construct, edicts to enact, and statuses to deal with. 39 different town events with 4 options each. Town templates, a quick guide for the different starting conditions of each of the 10 towns, and a handout. And the full-size preview is broken, but they thankfully did release some. Did make these clickable to go to Imager and read, so we're going to just look at a few of these. So here's something, I'm not sure the context, but it says, Doomsayer, a self-proclaimed prophet, visits the town and foretells the end of the world. And so number 1 is your order is order the militia to throw him out of the town, and the effect is make a discontent check on failure plus 5 discontent. And then you've got gang war over here. The thugs of 2 crime bosses fight over dominance in your town's allies. Number 1 is order the militia to drive those thugs out of town. Resolve the event with using the militia mission encounter. So, and then you've got hallucinations, epidemic, endless snowfall, forest protectors, etc. And then on this page, you've got a list of town events, which are basically encounters, and then follow-up event lists, and then you've got an awakened beast table. And then here you've got buildings, all the different buildings that you could build and what it does, what it adds to your town. So some of them have requirements, but it increases like your RP limit by 2, which is one of the costs that you spend to build things here, etc. So it seems really, really interesting, and could be useful outside of the 10 towns. You could probably use some of these mechanics elsewhere as well. So look for it in the links below under Running a 10 Town and give it a click. Next we've got Traps, Tricks, and Puzzles 8, Complex Traps by Mark Head, $2, and it's part of a series that you can buy together in a bundle as well by clicking the link. A brief guideline on the principles of running a complex trap encounter, followed by 8 detailed and illustrated examples showing what will happen on a round-by-round basis. If you shied away from putting a complex trap into your adventure because you thought it was too, well, complex, then this is for you. Easy to understand and follow, and should provide some memorable moments for your game session. So we've got 20 pages here, and let's see. Let me zoom in so you can see all the different ones, including oil and water, building blocks, piggy in the middle, frozen assets, kobold elevator, etc. And then it talks about how to run a complex trap. And then here's oil and water with really nice maps. I definitely like the maps in here. So oil and water is a level threat 1 to 4, 650 XP for surviving. The adventurers head eastwards down a flight of narrow stone steps. When they reach the bottom of the steps, they find themselves in a rectangular stone room. The walls, floor, ceiling are all constructed from the same type of stone block, and everything is damp. Steps enter through the center of the 20-foot wide west wall. The north and south walls are 45-foot long, and the far east wall is 20-foot wide. In the southeast corner, there's a stone spiral staircase leading upwards, and more description here. And then initial investigating. If the adventurers investigate the puddles of gray liquid, they will instantly recognize it as a type of oil. It covers the majority of the floor, but is not too deep. The oil creates a slippery surface, but this should be considered difficult terrain, and movement speed should be halved. I'm just looking. Triggering the trap. Unless they state that they are deliberately avoiding stepping on the first step of the spiral staircase, any adventurer moving up the spiral staircase will push down on the step and trigger the trap. When stepped on, the step moves down by 1/4 of an inch with a loud click. And then it goes into the trap summary, possible countermeasures, the various actions they can take, turn management, and then the first round of what would happen. So it's really play by play, going to walk you through everything. So you can see, I mean, there's like 3 pages just on this one trap. So you get everything you need. Even here, you know, in the 3rd round, it says adventurers with initiative rolls of 18 and above, they take their actions, and then the trap with an initiative roll of 18, water continues to rush into the room. And then, you know, the adventurers do their action if they had a 12 to 17 initiative. And then if the trap has an initiative roll of 12, water continues to rush into the room, and it's now 3.5 feet deep, and then etc. And you can see a map showing that as well. Actually, there's 4 pages for this. So lots and lots of stuff. I think it's incredibly detailed. You should not be afraid of running these because, I mean, it's going to give you step by step how to run them. And, you know, that little room we saw, you could plug this in anywhere. You just need a room where there's stairs and a little hallway. So any dungeon. So I like this a lot for people that want to experiment with tricks and traps and they're a little scared about it. Seems like it's really easy to go autopilot with this. So check it out under Traps, Tricks, and Puzzles 8 in the links below and give it a click. Next, we have Warforged Redo. It says 6 Warforged Schema by Daylight Publications, $6 for 21 pages. And it says, the author says, when the first Warforged title dropped in 2020, it came from my very deep love of the Warforged race from Eberron and allowed me the chance to bring to life some classic robots from pop culture alive as Warforged sub-races. However, these were some of my earliest work. And so 2 years later, I really want to go back and change things up with new art, new writing, updated mechanics, and a more exciting look into the world of the Warforged. So you've got the different ones here: the Submerged, the Boxer, the Chronicler, Prolight, and Lawmaker and Jester. So this is clearly, you know, RoboCop inspired, and this is probably C-3PO, and this is probably that one from that movie with Hugh Jackman. Can't remember the name of it right now, but anyway, let me know in the comments if you know the name of that movie. And yeah, it is. It looks fun. I mean, who doesn't like robots and Warforged and stuff? They're pretty fun. So let's look inside so you get to see the entirety of the book. So you can see the full art here and everything about it. Yeah, I love this. Why did you become a chronicler? Why did you become the jester, etc.? Super helpful. These sub races giving you all the little background information and just expanding it really nicely. I love that. So let me look here. All right, so this is during downtime in the trenches of the last war, all found themselves with needing ways to cope and add some levity. Whether writing poetry or even making music for others, sparring was their escape. From this, an underground ring amongst the soldiers started, especially amongst the first generation of Warforged. The Boxers were born here. Warforged, too, with the help of other soldiers, modified their bodies to be the perfect unarmed fighting machines, often becoming monks or rogues. These powerfully built Warforged even got their own posters and pulp novellas that became popular during the last war. The now popular publishing house Trench Punch Books was born out of the barracks in western Carnath. And then here it says, why did you become a boxer? Here you should sit down with your DM and nail out the details about your boxer. Were you an original boxer forged in the trenches of the last war? Are you a New Age boxer born after the treaty when trying to find yourself? Are you part of the Iron League? Did you become an enforcer for an underground club or cantina? Perhaps a noble family hired you as a personal bodyguard. All these are parts of how you build and develop your boxer persona. And then it goes into, of course, all the mechanics of your sub-race. So I love that it's deep diving into sub-races. Sub-races don't always get so much attention. I mean, 2-3 pages of sub-race is pretty nice, you know, with all this artwork. And I love that it's not just, you know, the same old with the Warforged, right? It's all these different types of Warforged robots. So very cool. Love it. Good job. So if you're interested in Warforged, you should look for it in the links below under Warforged Redo and give it a click. Well, that was our last new title. Let's talk about our exclusive discount next week. So it's going to be Gathering the Realms, which is a really exciting book from Joe Gaylord, Benedict Hall, Matthew Booth, Django Games, and Phil Kearney. And it says, things have been changing. Creatures once unknown to our world have begun to arrive in the Forgotten Realms. A strange cat-headed beast sits in a tavern in Waterdeep, trading drinks for tales from the world where gods walk amongst mortals. A precise blue creature has come to Candlekeep on a mission for the leaders of a city that spans an entire plane. So, Ravnica, right? Mechanical beings built for a war that swept and devastated their lands walk the wastes of Icewind Dale. They speak of planeswalkers, unique beings imbued with sparks, magical gifts that enable them to traverse the wild ether between the planes in safety. So building on the multiverse worlds started by publications like Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica, Mythical Odysseys of Theros, and Magic the Gathering Adventures in the Forgotten Realms, Gathering the Realms presents ways to bring the flavor and mechanics of Magic the Gathering to your table. So there's 3 feats, 6 variant rules, subclasses, spells, items, creatures, as well as guidelines to use color in your campaign to make it feel like it's part of the whole magic setting, with how the mechanics of magic work, etc. And then you even got flavorful charts of the planes. I mean, it's just really cool. If you're a fan of Magic the Gathering at all, or you're thinking you're going to go there with Ravnica or Theros or anything, this could really help unify everything together, maybe make it easier to transition from Ravnica to Theros or vice versa. I like it. I like it a lot, and I'm excited that we're going to have a special discount for you. It's normally $14.95, but we're going to have a discounted rate for you on Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. So be sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook so you can get those discounts. And of course, next week we'll deep dive into this book as part of the series as well. And then remember, we have this week's discount. It's the first link in those timestamp descriptions, so make sure you take advantage of that 50% off the adventure. And click all those links that we have. Support these creators and the channel by clicking those links. And be sure to subscribe to the channel. Leave us a comment. Let us know what titles you're grabbing or that are interesting, or books that you'd love to see done. And just any other comment you want to share, I will respond to you personally. And keep watching. We're going to have a new episode next week as usual. And don't forget, we've got all that free content on our socials as well for you to enjoy throughout the week. So until next time, happy adventuring.